So growing up in Northeast Ohio, obviously that never leaves who you are and kind of your identity as a person. We're all in the same boat. We all grew up here. We're all from here.
Absolutely.
Derek, you wanna talk about moving on from here and heading down to Miami?
Yes.
In our guest highlight segment there?
Absolutely. Yes. So then you go to University of Miami in your first season in 1983. You win a championship. What made that Hurricanes team so special?
Thank you. Let's start with that game. Thank you. Give you a big hug, Derek. Thanks. Going down there, that year in particular, and it's really was defining. Again, I had all these awesome coaches, whether it's, I keep saying Coach Johnson, Coach Shula, Coach Belichick, Coach Schottenheimer, Coach Schaffner and stuff. But Coach Schnellenberger, when he had that team, I was down there, and I'm going to probably date myself because at your guys' age, all these names really made sense. But Earl Morrill was my quarterback coach, and he quarterbacked a lot of the '72 Dolphin undefeated team that won the Super Bowl. And our Schnellenberger is the coach. Jim Kelly, Hall of Famer, was the quarterback. Vinny Testaverde, who went on to have an awesome 21-year career in the NFL, Heisman Trophy winner at the University of Miami. He was there. He's actually older than me when I got there. We didn't have the internet back then. Yeah. So when I showed up, I thought I was the man. And I showed up and I saw this awesome athlete and Jim Kelly, and then even a better athlete, and Vinny Testaverde and his athleticism.
Yeah, great for it.
Excuse my language, I flat out thought I was screwed. Okay. Oh my God, I'm going to have to be a career backup at best.
Oh, you got to transfer.
Well, that's exactly right. So it wasn't like today and where you could transfer portal as early or easy. But yeah, so I finally work up the courage to go into Coach Schnellenberger, and I go, Coach, it doesn't look good for me. I see Jim Kelly. There was another Mark Richt who went on to have a great career coaching Georgia and the University of Miami and that. And then Vinny Testaverde, Kyle Vanderwyn. I'm like, oh my God, I'm fifth on the depth chart. What am I going to do? I think I'm going to have to transfer. And Coach Schnellenberger, dead serious, looks at me and goes, you're right, it doesn't look good for you. Like, oh my God, that's not the lead answer I was fishing for.
That's a vote of confidence.
Yeah, but he goes, and it's a great life lesson again for football. He goes, anything in life that's great, everybody wants. Like everyone says, oh, I want to be a millionaire, okay? Oh, I want to be the quarterback for the Browns. I want to be the quarterback for the Hurricanes. Well, everybody wants to do that, of course. Yeah, he goes, I'll tell you what. He goes, at 18 years old, he goes, it's better to go for it and fail than to go and have a whole life of wondering and become an old man like me and wonder, what if? He goes, so I would highly recommend, on the slim chance it works, I will give you a chance. I promise you I'll give you a chance. He goes, and physically, you don't have a chance. So you have to maximize what you're good at and minimize what you're not good at. And you're not in the same league as those guys. So you have to maximize your mental abilities to do this. And I'm the last. He goes, you'll be able to change and run any play you want. And he goes, I would highly recommend you go for it so that, again, and failure isn't the end of the world as long as you put everything you have into it so you could look yourself in the mirror and know you did the best. The thing that will eat you from within is not knowing. So to do your best, always do your best and go for it. And then where you stand as opposed to, again, the you matter, the self-doubt, the self-confidence is so important. And if you at least tried, you could look yourself in the mirror.
Yeah, and it worked out pretty well.
Yeah. Thank you. And it's still with me. So even, look at, I've had some, that's awesome, Derek, to start with that game. But I had there's some other games that didn't end up the right way. So when you have that philosophy, you're able to get back up. And I love that's how sports, kind of taught that. And I wish, again, like we had said earlier in the first kind of segment, that's why I was put on the earth, was to figure out those life lessons to win football games. But if I didn't learn those then, some of the pitfalls and falls that I've had, whether it was what we were talking about with the addiction issues, with the health issues, with the coma issues, the bankruptcy issues, I mean, you would quit. You would quit under those. But to be able to kind of learn that lesson and come through it, it gives you the resiliency and strength, also kind of the demographic of where we grew up, also gave you that no quitting, never give up mentality. And I'm so thankful for that.
For sure. Yeah, that's amazing.
Absolutely.
So after your Miami days, you've kind of had a unique path where you went to the Browns in the supplemental draft instead of the NFL draft. So you kind of talk about your decision to go into the supplemental draft?
Yeah, I love where we're at here, but the truth was that, I was only 2.5 years in college. I had 2.5 years left. And the team was loaded too. Yeah. University of Miami is loaded. So to be able to go play there and probably win a national championship and a Heisman was something absolutely that was stuck in my head. And then getting my master's degree was there. Because when I went to college, I really didn't think I was going to be a pro quarterback. I for sure didn't think I was going to be one in 2 or 3 years.
Was there like a point in your life where you knew you could play professionally?
Yeah, right about when they said, "Hey, you can go into the supplemental draft or the regular."
Yeah,
it wasn't. Yeah. I did not.
It wasn't.
I think about today. I don't get very far into the future, even back then. So I really coached again. Another Coach Stollenberger line. How you do little things is how you do all things.
Yeah.
Okay, and do the best you can today, because then tomorrow will take care of itself. So I kind of focus and get lost in just today.
Focus on the present.
Yeah, as opposed to too much of the future of it.
Yeah, and then you get to achieve maybe the lifelong dream, maybe not the lifelong dream, but your hometown team coming back and being with the Browns.
Yeah, so like with that, jobs weren't prevalent back then, and I am a mommy's boy.
Yeah.
Okay, I can barely take care of myself if at all at 61. I for sure could not at 20, and any subsequent point in between.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Mom, so much, for that. But when I was doing that, I felt disloyal to UM.
Sure.
University of Miami, and was going back and forth with that, and then really wasn't sure that I was going to actually graduate for that. And I wanted to make sure I had the degree.
Yeah.
So back then you were able to trade the supplemental pick monthly, and you're not allowed to trade those picks now. My dad had figured that out. And let the Browns know. So the Browns made a trade before I announced, that I was coming out to get the picks in the supplemental draft, which ended up being cool because I actually was a Browns fan and a Vikings fan of Bud Grant and Fran Tarkington growing up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, before I had a reality check that I was just tall, slow, and skinny.
Yeah.
I actually thought I was fast like Fran Tarkington. Okay, so I had a Disney World existence and brain even back then to think I was a fleet of foot. But Bud Grant said, because I wasn't coming out. And he was actually the first guy I met with, even before the Browns. They had come down to the University of Miami confidentially back then. And I'm a huge fan of his. and I had no intentions of coming out to anywhere. It was just all so new to me back then. But then he said, and as we're talking today so much about health and wellness, and how the stomach and brains tie together. Well, also young kids throwing sidearm like this. This is probably why my right arm goes as straight as this is. So back then it was starting to get a little sore. Okay. But you shrug it off. You're 19 years old, 20. You don't care. You think, okay, it'll just rest for a little bit. Bud Grant said to me, he goes, you know, your body doesn't know, especially your arm. It only has X amount of throws in it. And every time you throw it, you have one less X to throw. And your arm doesn't know, especially he goes, you, Bern, with those bad mechanics, okay? Your arm doesn't know, okay, whether it's college or pros, okay? So every time you throw in college, you get one less throw, okay, in the rest of your life. And it's gonna give out. And he was right. And I was like, oh man, I didn't exactly buy that at first, and I reflected on it. And that made me start then thinking about, you know, okay, maybe I should contemplate at least going
into the draft.
Draft,
Derek, you want to ask about Browns?
Yes.
We're all Browns fans here.
Me too.
Through the ups and downs, we're all Browns fans here.
Absolutely.
Which growing up in Youngstown, where it was half Steeler, half Browns, that was
But knowing the loyalty and enthusiasm of the Browns fan base, how did it feel to be such a central figure in the Browns playoff run in the late 80s?
Wow. So, great question. The answer I almost always give publicly, okay, probably today will be the first time I probably don't, is awesome. You know, and the fans are awesome. The loyalty, the enthusiasm, the passion, it's second to none. It's incredible, to the point where you almost bear a responsibility to want to see them enjoy that. I would always say, like, beating the Jets, winning the playoffs, beating the Steelers, being the first quarterback to win at Three Rivers Stadium, being a little boy growing up and going there and watching the Browns lose all the time there, you know, all those things. I always used to say, oh, it was so fun, it was so great. And I guess it was, if I knew how to have fun. Okay, I don't. Okay, and I've been trying to bluff it for 61 years, and people talking to me, about you got to have fun, you need to, this and that, and it's an exercise in futility for me. And I actually, as you're saying that, and asking, all of those games, it's a sense of relief. It wasn't nothing about fun, and to the point where why I didn't overly want to get into coaching at certain points post-playing was I couldn't separate the two. So the second you won, it was flat-out relief, and then it was on to the next game. So there was never any satisfaction in it. So technically, by definition, us football guys in the old school ways, and this is another, again, reason why I overly at times didn't want to coach, and probably can't now, because there is no separation of church and state. There's no separation, and it's just for me, for the way I had to do it. And I so admire guys who don't have to do it this way. But I couldn't be like a light switch and turn me on and off. I had to always be on. So I was 24/7, 365. So then the way Coach Snellenberger, Coach Shula, the Paul Bear Bryant, okay, the Paul Brown way of football. Like, Don Shula was groomed under Paul Brown, and Howard Schnellenberger was groomed under Paul Bear Bryant. I had the two tough guys, okay? That's the lineage, okay? There is no life, okay, other than football for that. And that is what you focus on. And when you're their quarterback, you're flat out told that is what you do on and off the field all the time. So, like, for me, the whole apex is being the best. So by definition, that's either winning a national championship or winning a Super Bowl. So I gotta say, well, then people say, well, you had 2 fun days of your life. And I gotta say, yeah, and not even 5 minutes afterwards, okay, we could blame the press. All right, we'll blame the press and say, oh, the press is terrible. Okay, they don't let us enjoy it. They're already asking us, are you gonna repeat? Yeah. You got to repeat. Oh, how great would it be? But the truth is, before the press even asks that question, I ask myself that question. And I don't even ask it. I expect it. I mean, you have to believe, in order to it to happen, at least for me, I had to so believe and so think about it. And again, back to Coach Schnellenberger, to believe is to be strong. I visualize things, and I would visualize that. And again, when you win those games, I want to enjoy them. I still kind of, but I really don't. I'm on to what I need to do next to stay successful.
Absolutely.
And I'm not sure that's the right message for all young kids, but if your whole goal is to just try to be productive, okay, that's a good lifestyle. If you're trying to have happiness all the time in that, I derive my happiness from trying to be productive.
Yeah. Well, and I think, again, life without labels is so far-reaching, right? It doesn't matter if it's a medical diagnosis or the label is, hey, you're the star quarterback, right? There's predetermined ideas of what this should look like and what the experience should be. And I think, as you just alluded to, everybody is wired differently. Everybody has a different personality. Everybody has different strengths, different challenges. And that's such an individualized experience that nobody can speak to how you should feel or how it should go, and what the pathway should look like. So, that's a challenging spot to be in, especially when, the label and the I become so public and so all-encompassing. This is 24/7, this is 365, this is who you're supposed to be. That's your identity, that's your label, right?
Or your burden. Like, well, again, you could be eating here with your kids. Yeah. Okay, and 20 people come up to you and 19 say, well, kids, you got to be used to it. Just you have to accept you don't get to talk to your dad ever when he's in Ohio. That's not exactly, and for people out there, that's not correct.
Yeah. No, it's, that's what we're here to do with the two, though. I think it's just to humanize that experience and be able to pull back the curtain and say, whether you're going through, an experience that's in the public eye or whether you're living it with your family and in a very small, bubble, we all have challenges, we all have things that we're going through, and we're all just trying to reach our full potential, whatever our full potential may be, finding that purpose, finding that place of belonging, finding that team, whether it's at the 2, whether it's with the Browns, whether it's wherever, to be a part of and to go through life together, with other people. So, but I think that's also what puts you in a unique situation where you can look at what society says is the mountaintop, right? And you can say, boy, I've checked all the boxes, and at the end of the day, I can still speak to that same feeling that everybody else has of, it's not what society makes it out to be, right? We're all looking for greater purpose, greater, sense of belonging. And I think you being that advocate for others, they're able to look at you because everybody doesn't have your life experience. Everybody hasn't been able to check all those boxes, and people could be out there saying, hey, well, if I could just check that one box, or if I could just do this or do that, that's really what they're still chasing after. And I think that puts you in that unique position to be able to say, no, that's not what you should maybe be chasing.
Right, that's well pointed out. the box checking sometimes for the sake of box checking, unfortunately, in society, we have to do some of, okay, just to sometimes sadly move up the life ladder of work and stuff. But absolutely, so well put that I've checked those boxes and jumped over boxes and got to the top of the boxes and realized up there, okay, you still have your issues. Okay, so just get in the box, owning the box, dominating the box, being on top of the box, okay? Okay, does not mean that whatever root unhappiness and sadness that is there, okay, is going to be dissipated up there. It may mask it for a little bit, not very long though. So it's really important to deal with it. And I didn't understand that. I didn't believe it at all. I may have agreed with it, but I didn't believe it at a younger age. And that's why I keep morphing back to, you know, the things that I do on trying to stay present, which stuff like this makes it tough. Yeah. But trying to stay present and enjoying my day to make a difference, you know, and who I touch. And like I Mondays, you know, most people, you know, the song, I don't like Mondays, and most people hate Mondays off the weekend. I got to get up and go to work, and I embrace Mondays. I embrace every day, every morning. As a depressed person, you know, an anxiety person, you make a decision. You know, how do I get out of bed? Do I just get out of bed, or do I get out of bed because I'm happy, or do I get out of bed because I have to, or do I get out of bed because I tell myself today, I'm going to make a difference, and I'm going to have a good day, and I'm going to be positive, and the people I touch, you know, I want them to be touched positively and stuff. And so when I start my Mondays, you know, and you guys have heard me say publicly, a little bit privately behind the scenes, you know, positively, I want the people we touch today, we want to make a genuine positive difference in the people, the families, and the communities that we touch.
Yeah.
Sure,
well,
yeah.
and the two is a place of hope. You know, we're here to offer others hope. We're here to, you know, portray that same message, and I think that's what the show's all about. The 216 show, highlighting Cleveland changemakers. You know, we're so appreciative of you being here in our Cleveland community, Northeast Ohio community, all of the impacts that you've had, all of the changes, even still, you know, today's conversation. I think all of these things are just a little, you know, notch along the way that move the conversation forward in a positive way. So, you know, we're so appreciative that you were able to come on the show today and be able to further the conversation, be the Cleveland changemaker that you've been for so long. You know, you're so invested here, you're so loyal here, and we greatly appreciate it.
First and foremost, how do you feel about who the Browns selected in the draft?
Just coming out of Browns mini camp, post a Cavs playoff game and a Guardians home playoff. We had a lot of good Cleveland sports going on this week. You know, I talk so much about health and wellness. I talk so much about being well versed in other subjects and other parts of life, but really at the end of the day, my DNA is really rooted in sports. Yeah. And I think a lot of that evolves from growing up in Youngstown, Ohio, and my father had a rule in the house where if you didn't either you have a choice after school, you either have to have a job or you have to play sports. So I played sports 52 weeks a year, okay, to not have a job, okay, to get good at that. And that really morphed into the baseball, basketball, and football. So the basketball ended up as a guy with a half-inch vertical jump. We needed to get past that. And then the arm in baseball started hurting a little bit, so the left football. And to watch the Browns now for, probably almost all of my 61 years of life. And growing up, where my dad said that we didn't care if the Browns lost every game. as long as they beat the Steelers twice a year, that would be a successful season. Well, that sounded really good as a little boy, and then all of a sudden, when you're the quarterback, 2-14 was fun, but that doesn't keep you as the Browns quarterback and very happy very long with the set of standards that kind of I set for myself. So that kind of passion and fire hasn't really dissipated over the years. So that is background. It's really tough, seeing the team having the second pick of the draft and being 3-14 like that. Yeah. That being said, I really think that the draft and the kind of core foundation of guys of getting to the Kevin Stefanski's smart, tough, accountable football guys with character is a good foundation to start laying there. Bluntly, I know that's all nice stuff I've just said and stuff, but at the end of the day, we're all fixated on the quarterback, and you're talking to a quarterback, so really what's going on there. I really wish I knew, for that. And again, this will sound like I'm on the fence or I'm waffling on stuff. Sure. But if you put me here, okay, there's 4 of us here, and each one of us is one of the quarterbacks. I could tell you why I like you. Okay? Sure. And I could look at you, and I mean this too. I'm not just saying this to be nice, but I am a person now that thinks positively, that wants to like you, okay, and wants to see what's good about you guys. Well, it's the same with the Qs, okay, right now. So that's a little skewed in my kind of Disney World way of looking at life now, and the pilgrimage way of it. But I could look at each one of those quarterbacks and feel good, about their chances of it. And then I absolutely see all the liabilities with each one of them, and they've all been said. Okay, so we know them. Okay, and they're going to happen. The thing that I really find going to be tough is I love the shortened season. I was a guy who practiced too hard in the off season, partly why my arm is screwed up and like this, and then went way too hard in training camp and way too hard on the players. And we bang and hit heads a lot in teams I was at with those tough guy coaches. That really shortened my life expectancy and my career, and it did for the guys around us. So that is background. Now I actually love that they don't have to hit as much in practice. I love that they don't have as much training camp. I love that they don't have as many boring preseason games, although I enjoyed announcing them. But that all being as background to the quarterback question, that doesn't leave a lot of time for 3 preseason games to get us 4 ready to play. And 2 of us are rookies, and again, I'm biased, some because I like Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett a lot as guys. And I love them a lot as quarterbacks, so I like them a lot as guys too for that. But going into the draft, and just going back to my Cowboy roots, Dion was, I was on the 93 team that won the Super Bowl. Dion was on the 96 team that won the Super Bowl there. We've crossed a lot with mutual friends, so I consider him a friend. And whether I do or I consider him a friend or not, and whether he considers me a friend or not, typically in football, that has nothing to do with how you are as a player. And before the draft, one of the things that I really, really liked of the quarterbacks, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, was that, and I won't jump up here, but when you're a quarterback, everyone's looking at the arm and your arm strength and what your angles are and stuff. But really, a core part of how you throw is from your core, okay? And having your butt under you, having a core, and getting the torque and your rip through the momentum to get your arm strength is one thing. But if I was standing in the middle of you 3 there, one of the things that Cam Ward does exceptional and Shedeur, they have such calmness in their feet. such calmness with guys around him. So with Derek right here, and I'm looking down here, I noticed with Shedeur, he would keep his feet really calm. That's massively hard to do when Derek's going to run me over right now. So that ability to throw it to you, Jack, and to look calm with my feet was really impressive going into the draft.
And he was under pressure so much.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. For a guy who got banged around a lot, typically when you get hit a lot, okay, you're going to move your feet. You're going to, then worse than that moving your feet, you're going to look down. And once you look down, you can't throw intermediate to deep, and you're forced to run, okay? Or you're forced to do something quick like this. I could still see you guys, and Shedeur keeps his head up. And actually Dylan Gabriel does that too. And I'm not skipping over and talking so much about Shedeur to be dismissive of Dylan.
I was going to ask you about Dylan.
Well, and mainly because Cam, me being from the U, and Shedeur being on so many of the games, and me knowing Dion and some of my buddies or coaches out at, and the old Browns coach, Pat Shermer, is Shedeur's offensive coordinator. So I followed way more of them. I did not see enough of Dylan Gabriel, but I actually feel bad for him, okay? Being a third-round pick, having really good touch and throwing, and the success he had in college. I haven't seen enough of him, but what I see, I like watching him, but it's a tough spot for 4 of us to get ready with 3 games, and it's a lot of attention being played. So how the locker room handles this right now, I think could really be, it could be a tricky spot to see how we get all 4 guys at kind of an equal chance. And then whether we do or don't, I didn't start till the 6th game, I think, of my rookie year. Hated it, complained in my head, okay, was a little baby, whiny to myself, maybe not publicly, okay. It ended up being the best thing for me, okay. I really believe Baker, okay, he hated it too. That's what competitive guys do. You want your cues to hate it, okay. But man, not playing the first 5 or 6 games, okay, massively helped me. I believe it helped Baker, okay, get going. We were 3-14 for a reason, okay? We're going back to the offense I really believe in. I did not like the spread last year. It was an issue of identity and personnel and how to execute it. I really think this system will be way more successful and consistent into what we did back 2 years ago when we won the division, or we got in the playoffs and once from that. But being able to do that after the one, I'm putting it like you 2 are the veterans, okay? Like one of you is Joe Flacco and one's Kenny Pickett, okay? You and me are the rooks, Derek. I'm not saying sacrifice you veterans, okay? But Gary Danielson played first. You know, Joe Flacco played first for Lamar Jackson, okay? And look at now Lamar. We want him out of the league, okay? Putting a guy in early, okay? Again, it looks like I played early, but I missed the first 5 or 6 games. September offensive lines, September play calling, and September defenses are incredibly different, okay? And you don't have film to look at of what the 4-game breakdown is of the defensive tendencies. Defensive coordinators kind of have you off your game. Let the veterans kind of maybe take that, you know, so that maybe
6 weeks. Make a big
well, you know,
difference in
whatever
that.
the time is. Sometimes only a couple of games helps, because it tends to be not a well-oiled machine early. So don't punish. And again, to the you matter, we actually ruin more young quarterbacks aren't busts because they suck. They're busts because us old people put them in situations too quick.
And they play too early.
and they play too early. And then, because of the self-confidence and self-esteem, I will still answer it correctly, that I have confidence and I believe in myself. But if I'm banged around and I'm 12 for 25 for 118 yards and 1 touchdown and 2 picks, there's no way I believe in myself, no matter what comes out of my mouth. And let's not do that to the young Qs. And I can go back and really show my age and I love Tim Couch. Tim Couch was not a bust. Tim Couch was an exceptional person, exceptional quarterback. But he got chucked in there to a tough team that couldn't pass protect at an NFL level. And he's a tough guy, and he got destroyed. I believe that Dylan Gabriel and Shador Sanders are good, tough, young quarterbacks that do deserve to be in the NFL, and let's help them. And this Kevin Stefanski game, for all the young quarterbacks out there, look, play action pass is not an indictment of your manhood. Okay, it's not easy to do. It's a little different philosophical belief, and you have your checkdowns right in front of you, okay, with extra blockers to allow you to go down the field and keep your head down the field like that to make plays. So I really recommend getting under center and understanding some of this play action game and embracing it.
I agree with you, yeah. Speaking of other quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield, now that he's revitalized his career in Tampa, what do you make of his journey, kind of bouncing around, but now he's found at home in Tampa with the play action style?
So the play action style and Jason Light, who was with me back in the old days at the Dolphins as the intern with me, Dan Marino, in the Miami Dolphins quarterback room back in the mid-'90s. Awesome job what he's done constructing a consistently winning, good playoff, Super Bowl winning team in Tampa. What Bake's doing, and what he's done shows why I love football and the life lessons of it. The not quitting, the resiliency, even in the face of adversity, and even in the face of people picking on him or it looking like he wasn't playing and stuff, and to show that toughness and to go from Carolina-ish like he did to the Rams and kind of play that game where he was only there a day or two. And again, once you do it on the field, it's just like once I did it against the Jets in double overtime, okay, you really believe it. Now I'm not saying you could do it all the time, but you believe you could do it all the time. And once you've done it once and you believe you could do it again. And he did it those couple of enormous magnitude type times. And now that belief in himself, he's beautiful. It's beautiful to watch that. And again, for young quarterbacks out there, kind of the toughness and resiliency that he shows with that and being able to bounce back from and not going into the tank and curling up in a fetal position. It's just love. I just love it.
Yeah, he's a grinder.
Yeah, he's navigated a lot. Well, hopefully the Browns can navigate this complicated quarterback room that they've constructed here. And, see how it all
So,
comes out
back to Bake, though, too. One of the things, and it's back to Coach Schnellenberger, Coach Shula, Jimmy Johnson, Joe Moore, who's was Peyton Manning's offensive coordinator, with the great Howard Mudd, who was my line coach, who was Peyton Manning's line coach, who was with Tom Moore, who was the big coordinator. Tom Moore is the senior consultant for the Tampa Bay Bucks. He was the coordinator with Brady and those guys down there. He stayed. So he's running he's basically philosophically with his stretches. Those are the 72 Dolphins type of philosophical beliefs in terms of pass protection, deep to short, not check down to bomb, and how you look and stretch the field at all 3 levels, not 2 levels. And when people say, oh, the game's changed and it's so much different, the good, consistent winning teams, it has not philosophically changed. So when you see, yes, it may have different personnel groups and motions and shifts, but the core protections and the core philosophical beliefs that you see Andy Reid doing, that you see Tom Moore doing, that you see some of the people that in their disciple tree have learned, it's beautiful to watch.
That's amazing.
That is.
Yeah. Really cool. Really cool to hear it through, as an average, very novice football fan. I watch every Sunday, but again, haven't experienced anything to the level or any knowledge base like you have. So it's cool to hear you kind of talk through those things. And yeah. Thank you for that. Last thing, what are your thoughts on this Brook Park conversation? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm in between of it. And again, it sounds like I'm on the fence for it. Stuff I haven't overly, it takes every act of God, truthfully for me, to be healthy, to turn around, Parkinson's, dementia. I had a MELT score at 30 at this time last year. I was supposed to have the liver transplant. So to pay attention and have the courage to do things like this and not all the pills and stuff, and for it to come out the other side is really where I spend my remaining brain space and time on for that. So when I give answers that are quasi on the fence, people say, they're like, "Oh, you're just trying to be nice." Well, no, I haven't thought through it either, and I'm not truthfully invested in it either. It's not my issue to do right now. But
it takes time. It takes effort to really think through things and figure out, okay, what do you think of those things?
But like to me, like, yeah, I'm an old school. I mean, you guys, that's no kidding statement. Okay, I'm an old school guy who loves the history and tradition of it. So just egotistically, okay, to swell my cranium. Okay, Derek, so cool bringing up the Jets game. Thanks. So it's fun to go down there, and I'd be lying if I said I don't think about that sometimes when I'm down there. I don't. How could you go down there and not think about in overtime audibling to throw it to Webster Slaughter to throw a touchdown in overtime against the Steelers? And as an old man now in the fourth quarter or overtime of my life, not want to cruise down and see that. So that part of me loves that. That part of me loves the grass, the landfill that is built on, that muddy, crappy field massively slowed down all the fast athletic guys, and I had one constant slow speed, so the athletes came down to me. So from a playing standpoint, my stats weren't great, but my stats were better than the other quarterback who, didn't know how to handle the miserable turf and the wind. But all that being said, then I go down there now as an old man, and it's punishing to get into. So, I could see the benefits of the egress and stuff at the stadium and more people, and also from a state perspective and a city perspective, we'd be getting a Super Bowl here. So I mean, I could see coolness on both sides of it, and then I see pain on both sides of it. So,
yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, wrapping up our Cleveland Sports Overtime segment, we have a Browns-themed Too Strong Here shirt for you. So, got the Life Without Labels on the back, got the Two and Company logo on the back. So, as a thank you for being here today, we want to present you with that.
Thanks. You should have gave me at the beginning. I didn't know what to wear. I had to put this on.
Yeah, no. But, we greatly appreciate you being here.
It was an honor to have you on.
Thank you, guys. Glad to help.
Your knowledge of the game is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, this is the second episode of the 216 show. If you haven't checked out our first episode, go check out our first episode with Todd. Case Western Reserve, they're still winning in tennis, and they got a chance at another national championship this week.
They're in it,
if you haven't checked out our first episode, check that out. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook. And in the meantime, come eat, come shop here at the 2. Come see us in Chagrin. So,
absolutely.
Jack, Derek?
Derek, what do we always say?
You can make a difference together. Thanks for watching.
That's it.
Thank you, guys.